Mr. Chairman, quite a day for you, and well done in this report. We've read through a lot of the top line, but I guess the question that I have is, at what point do you determine what is legitimate and what is illegitimate? How much of Joe Biden's presidency was illegitimate?
Well, we just focused on the pardons and executive orders, all the documents that were signed with the autopen that were by definition legal documents that whether you're recording a deed in the courthouse for buying a piece of property or whether you're signing a subpoena in a court of law, you have to use an ink pen. But at the end of the day, the investigation was about in addition to the unauthorized use of the autopen, Joe Biden's overall mental cognitive state. Was he even aware of what his staff was doing, in addition to whether or not it was legal? Did he even know? Did he have the capacity to understand? And as you read the report, you see we brought in his entire inner circle, and many of these depositions lasted all day. There were hours and hours and hours of deposition. We obviously have the transcripts, but we also have the audio. That was something the January 6th committee set the precedence, and they're regretting it right now because we have the audio of people like Dr. O'Connor. When asked, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health? He pled the fifth. The White House physician couldn't answer a question whether or not he lied about Joe Biden's health. So the American people get to see that. And at the end of the day, all 12 of these inner circle staffers, and we're talking about 2 chiefs of staff, we're talking about his executive secretaries, we're talking about the people identified as the ones who use the autopen. None of them ever spoke directly with Joe Biden other than Jeff Zients. And, there's no consistent manner in which the autopen was used. There's no chain of custody. There were the people that were operating the autopen said they would go weeks and weeks without seeing Joe Biden, but in between they were signing the autopen on legal documents. So I think that the evidence is there. We've done the hard lifting, the tedious part of an investigation, whether it's a congressional investigation or a normal Department of Justice investigation. We have now formalized the report. It's been out for 4 or 5 hours. Not a single Democrat or media personality is disputing 1 ounce of that. We are handing this to Pam Bondi on a silver platter and saying the investigation is done. We think there should be accountability. And accountability, Benny, is in the form of the pardon should be declared void. And those are the pardons for Dr. Fauci, the Biden family members, the January 6th committee, Adam Schiff, the deep state actors that Joe Biden pardoned on the way out. All the pardons should be declared void. And if she wanted to go even further, I think you bring in Dr. O'Connor and asked him again if they lied about Joe Biden's health. But I think that the evidence is there, and this will hold up in court. If these pardons are declared void and null by the Department of Justice, they more than likely go to the Supreme Court. The evidence is overwhelming. The depositions, the emails, all the evidence we have will hold up in the Supreme Court.
Bring it to its logical conclusion. You can't run a country like this because you can't just pardon. What's stopping Trump from just pardoning every voter, a MAGA voter, right? Oh,
That's
okay.
exactly
well,
right.
I'm just going to buy. I'm just going to make sure that you can never be charged with anything because you supported me for president. You're going to collapse the entire country if you normalize something like this.
You are, and again, with Trump, when he pardons someone, he does a press conference and he talks about it. And I haven't always agreed with 100% of the pardons that President Trump's issued, but
he's issuing them.
He's
doing it. He's making
with Joe Biden. There's no evidence that he had any idea. I mean, obviously he knew his family was getting a pardon. But at the end of the day, you talk about thousands of pardons. He said himself in an interview with the New York Times that he didn't review every single pardon. Well, that right there is a problem because only the president of the United States, not the vice president, not the chief of staff, only the president of the United States has the authority to grant a pardon.
Really quickly here, we have actually that New York Times article that says specifically that Jeff Zients replied all and says, I approve of the pardons. Well, that's not in the Constitution, brother.
Mm-mm.
So does this mean that Dr. Fauci, this is specifically about the Fauci pardon, the ream of pardons that were rolled out, but the Fauci pardon. So you are saying declaratively, and that we will stand up in court and stand up in any trial before any court in the land, including the Supreme Court, that Dr. Fauci's pardon is null and void.
Yes. Yes. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you have to have a formal process for the autopen. And, they're trying to say, well, some of these were approved verbally. Some of these we had a memo. There's emails from the Biden Department of Justice, the Merrick Garland Department of Justice, to the Biden inner circle saying, you need to be careful using the autopen so much on legal documents. And then there are other emails. Was the president even aware that this particular person was pardoned? And I mean, so his own Department of Justice is concerned that, number one, there's excessive unauthorized use of the autopen, and number two, that the president of the United States has no clue who's being pardoned by his unnamed staffers that are using the autopen. And when Donald Trump says it was the autopen presidency, what we saw in the last 3 months, from the time of the debate, the disastrous debate when Joe Biden had to drop out, until the moment of the transfer of power from Biden to Trump, that would be a pretty accurate statement that it was the autopen presidency.
So when it comes to Jill Biden's culpability here, I want to talk about Jill, Anthony Bernal. There's a entire sort of wing of the administration that was run by Jill. Not only do we have the hilarious photos of her sitting in the president's chair with the president's jacket that says "the president" on it. Nobody elected Jill Biden, and she just acted as the de facto president, and that's what many reports have said. And she even ran cabinet meetings, Mr. Chairman. And it was grotesque to watch. No one's ever seen a woman behave like this in the White House. What's to be made of Jill Biden's role in all of this?
Well, she had a significant role. We didn't bring Jill Biden in because it was going to take forever, and time is of the essence, because you've got a situation where a lot of these people in the deep state can't be held accountable. I know there's a lot of people frustrated that no one's been arrested yet or anything else. Well, a lot of them were granted pardons. Well, now, with our investigation, the pardons, if the Department of Justice does what we've recommended, the pardons will be declared null and void. So there's nothing stopping the Department of Justice from going after the deep state and going after Dr. Fauci for everything that he put us through, or the January 6th committee for falsifying documents, or the Biden family for taking millions and millions of dollars from our enemies around the world, lying about it, and then not paying taxes on it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of who the autopen pardoned on the way out the door. And again, there's no chain of custody. Every staffer essentially gave a different account for how the autopen was to be used. And I don't think that would hold up. If you ran a Fortune 500 company and operated like that, I don't think that would hold up in a circuit court in any state in America, much less the presidential power of the pardon and the way that was operated by the Biden administration.
Should Joe Biden's Dr. O'Connell, should he lose his license?
Well, I think that he's going to have to explain why that they didn't give Joe Biden a cognitive test, or did they give Joe Biden a cognitive test and he failed? He's going to have to explain why they didn't test Joe Biden for prostate cancer, or did they test Joe Biden for prostate cancer and he had it and they lied about it? And I think he's going to also have to say, why did you continuously write down that he was in a picture of health mentally and physically when everyone in America could see with their own eyes that he was not? Now, those are all questions we tried to ask him, and he pled the Fifth Amendment to avoid self-incrimination. Now, if you have the Attorney General do an investigation, he's not going to have as many options. And if he continues to plead the Fifth, then I think he should lose his license. Because
So
he
please.
was America's doctor essentially. He
Mhm.
didn't work for Joe Biden. He worked for us. He was the White House physician.
Right.
And you can't have the White House physician lying about people, so especially if they have cancer, especially if they take a cognitive test and fail it. So at the end of the day, that clip you showed of Jill Biden, when she said they never even talked about taking a cognitive test, that is a lie. They did talk about it. Every single one of the people that we brought in that was in Joe Biden's inner circle said, yeah, we talked about taking the president taking a cognitive test to shut up the critics, but then we eventually decided against it. Now, why would you decide against it? Either you knew he would fail it, or he took it and failed it and you covered it up.
Stage 5 prostate cancer metastasized to your bones. This is a 12 to 15-year process.
Yes.
It's very slow moving. It's something that deteriorates your body, your health, and especially the treatments of them make you very cloudy and unable to really perform daily activities.
Right.
My contention here, based on all available evidence and a number of doctors coming on our program and speaking for hours about this, is that Joe Biden was being treated actually for prostate cancer under the table, and they were trying to lie to the American public and get him or drag him over the finish line, in spite of the fact that he had a terminal illness. And that seems to be like not only a horrible scandal, but immoral. What is your take on that?
Well, it's very possible. Look, my father had prostate cancer. My grandfather had prostate cancer. My great grandfather had prostate cancer. Runs in my family. I've studied a lot about prostate cancer, believe me. But at the end of the day, as you just mentioned, every health expert says that you don't just wake up one day and have that stage of prostate cancer. And what they've tried to imply out of the Biden White House was that they just didn't test him for prostate cancer. They test every man. I've been getting blood twice a year. I take blood tests for prostate cancer. I've been doing it since I was 40 years old. I'm 53. And every man does that. So if they weren't testing him, then that's almost criminal in itself. But just think, if he did have it and they covered it up, he had it when they filed for re-election. So they were trying to run him for another 4-year term. Not only if that's true, were they lying about it, they tried to run him for another 4-year term at his age. And it's just preposterous. I mean, I think that, in the report, we referred Dr. O'Connor to the medical board. At the very least, let the medical board. He can't plead the fifth, I don't think, in front of the medical board. I mean, if he does, the medical board needs to assume what you and I are assuming with respect to his performance, with respect to the president of the United States, that he wasn't being truthful, or he was a terrible doctor, one or the other.
Yes. You read some of the byproducts and some of the horrible things that treatment for prostate cancer does. And we know that Joe Biden was constantly being taken to Walter Reed. Right. Power was transferred over to Kamala Harris a couple times because of operations. They're never forthright about this. The difference is stark, too. Caroline Leavitt up in front of the White House just a couple of weeks ago saying, hey, Trump has this thing. It's pretty common in older people, intravenous. I can't remember the exact name.
Yeah.
But at least they're being honest about what's going on. And they've just been lying, and it's been totally more. Okay. So final.
And Benny, remember, we were consulting with Ronnie Jackson through especially the deposition with Dr. O'Connor. Ronnie Jackson was the White House physician in the first Trump administration. So we had an expert consulting with us in addition to our medical experts. So we were prepared to ask every question. We had a list of questions. He kept pleading the fifth, and his attorney said, look, you can ask questions for all day. We're going to plead the fifth on everything. So, he was very defiant, wasn't going to answer even the basic question, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health?
So we've covered Dr. Fauci. We've covered Joe Biden's doctor. We talked about Jill. The big one that seems to be actually boiling up to the surface again, based on Barry Loudermilk's work, is January 6th. Yeah, and this was actually, I would argue, Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter makes a ton of sense, obviously based on what we've talked about Hunter before, Mr. Chairman. His pardon of his family makes sense on a human level. His pardon of Fauci perhaps even makes some sense. The pardon of the entire January 6th committee and every witness. Now that I think is arguably the most damning pardon. That is really something. I mean, that has no historic precedent at all.
Right.
We've seen Bill Clinton pardon his degenerate family members. We've seen presidents sort of sling pardons to people that they were in business with. We've never seen anything like that. Why did that happen? And what happens next?
Well, I didn't know when he first did the pardons, but so much information's come out now that we have a Department of Justice, now that we have people like Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and John Radcliffe that are shining a light on a lot of the corruption in the deep state. But it does appear that January 6th committee withheld information, that they weren't truthful in their investigative report. And that's one thing. The Democrats cry and scream, the liberal media, they attack me all the time, but they've never disputed one thing we put in the final report. Never. They didn't in the Biden family influence peddling when we said they took in tens of millions of dollars from our adversaries around the world, didn't pay taxes on it. And they haven't said a thing about this Biden autopen scandal. So, but with the January 6th report, just about everything they put in is being disputed. And no one's there to defend it now. You know, Adam Schiff and Adam Kinzinger, who continues to, they just tweet away and try to change the narrative. But at the end of the day, if they were caught being dishonest and they signed their names on a congressional report, if they were lying about FBI agents, undercover FBI agents, possibly enticing a crowd and all that, why are they doing that? They should not be pardoned. They should not be protected from being held accountable for lying to the people. I don't know if they lied or not, but the more that comes out, I've seen enough from Adam Schiff. I don't believe a thing he says. And the fact that Joe Biden autopen pardoned him on the way out, that looks to me like a pretty possible admission of guilt.
Like, of course, like just prima facie, Mr. Chairman, like it's just insane to pardon someone who hasn't been charged with a crime, right?
Right.
Like, okay, well, then what actually happened?
Right.
And then we've heard so much about Liz Cheney and witness tampering, Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, witness tampering, and some of the ways that they went about, like cajoling and then forcing certain testimonies out of certain witnesses, including, but not limited to, completely made up stories like Trump trying to Incredible Hulk his way through the Secret Service and grab a limousine steering wheel. Like, these are just like completely made up stories.
I can tell you this: you have to hold them accountable if they lied, because whoever the next person is that's chairman of the oversight committee, if it's Jamie Raskin, who is one of the biggest liars that's ever served in Congress, I hope you clip that, Benny. If he has subpoena authority again and has the ability to publish reports, and he knows he got away with one on the January 6th committee because he was on the January 6th committee, and he's not held accountable, then he's going to continue to do it. So I think that this investigation of the autopen, the evidence that we put forward, I think this will go down one of the most consequential and successful congressional investigations ever. I just hope that the Department of Justice now takes it and holds these people accountable, because we have a lot of wrongs to right. And there are a lot of problems still in the deep state and in Congress that need to be fixed. And they're not going to get fixed if people aren't held accountable. Yeah,
if they have fake pardons. Okay, so so in closing here, what do you want to happen to the January 6th committee? Many of them are still in Congress. What would be your recommendation, Mr. Chairman?
Well, we've referred this all to the Department of Justice. Now, Laudermilk's doing a good job on his investigation. He's leading that investigation. The biggest challenge that we have in congressional investigations is accessing information. And I think that the Department of Justice needs to work with Loudermilk. They need to work closer with me in future investigations and with Jim Jordan in his investigation to try to get that information. We never could get it from the Merrick Garland Department of Justice. And honestly, it's not the easiest thing with the Bondi Department of Justice. So we need to get that information. And again, we need to determine, or Loudermilk and those guys need to determine, did they lie? And if they did, they need to have criminal referrals, issue that in a report, and then the Department of Justice needs to prosecute those people.
Well, you know what, Chairman, and everybody needs to follow Chairman James Comer over here. 300,000 people follow Representative Comer here on his official account. He also has a personal account. It's great, and GOP oversight. The most wonderful thing about your work here, Mr. Chairman, is that Kamala Harris is running again. Okay?
Yeah.
Like Hunter Biden's out doing podcast interviews. This incredible rat pack that you've exposed here, they're not going to go away. This is all they got. So this is really important work. You're the man to do it. You've always been the man, and it's just our honor to have you on. And
thank you, Benny. Appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you. Godspeed. The truth will set you free. See you.
Thank you.